Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I have what I would consider probably the most unique firearm that I've personally had experience with, and that is the REAP Weaponries SCY. Now if you're looking at this and you're like, what the hell is that? That was my initial thoughts as well. Long story short, this is a Bullpup conversion kit for your standard AR-15. Now again, this is by far probably the most unique firearm that I've personally shot. It's the first Bullpup weapon I've shot, and I've got a lot of thoughts about this, and apparently so does the internet. I've posted up some pictures of this already, and it's causing quite a stir to say the least. But yeah, so this is the REAP Weaponries SCY. Again, it's a conversion kit for your standard AR-15, and yeah, let's get into that. There's a couple things that I want to cover, but before we get into that, I want to make perfectly clear that I reached out to REAP Weaponries about this, and they sent this to me. No money was exchanged, so I do want to keep that transparent with you. But yeah, let's get into it. So a couple things. I want to go over the price of it, the shootability, the practicality of it, the assembly of it, and my overall thoughts and recommendations. And essentially what the goal is for today's video is I want to take this and I want to compare it to a standard run-of-the-mill AR-15 and show essentially, is this worth getting? Is this something that is practical for you? And you know, just give my overall thoughts and give my overall thoughts on the shootability and again, just that practicality of this weapon. So first off, how much does this cost? Well, you've got two parts. You've got to have your AR-15 and then you've got to have the conversion kit, which you see here down at the bottom. Now the conversion kit is going for right at $500. And again, it takes any standard AR-15 that you have. Now, full disclaimer, you do have to have an M-LOK upper handguard, and I'll get into that in a second here, but it takes your run-of-the-mill AR-15 and it just slaps onto it. So next, let's get into the assembly of it. To be very, very frank with you guys, I struggled to get this put together, not exactly because it was difficult to do, but my monkey brain and the instructions I was following just didn't click, and I had to put it together and take it apart probably about 10 times total just to get it really fine-tuned. So again, full disclaimer, there is a little bit of effort that's going to go into getting this put together, but once I got it, the fit and finish has been just fine. But again, putting it together did cause me some issues, and I think that's more on me than it is the instructions given. The instructions are actually great. Again, monkey brain, words are hard, so that's more on me. Next, what are my thoughts on just the overall configuration of this AR-15? Well, to say the least, it's interesting. I've never had a bullpup weapon before. I've never shot a bullpup weapon before, so this is my first introduction into shooting bullpup weapons in general. And I mean, I mean, my mind races in 1,000 different directions because of how crazy it is. So this is a full 16-inch barrel. The overall package is, I mean, I can tell you shorter than your 10.3 Mark 18. I'll tell you that. This is a full 16-inch package condensed down into what you see here. Now you're probably wondering about the buffer system and how it works. So there's two types of conversion kits that you can get from REAP Weaponries. You can get a configuration that uses a bufferless system. That's with your uppers that usually have the side charging options. And then you can go with a buffered option, which is what your traditional AR-15s are, and that's what you see here. Now again, I've got a couple thoughts on that, but we'll get into that in just a second. But essentially what this is you take a stripped lower AR-15 lower, you're going to strip it down, remove the buffer tube, the buffer spring, and the buffer. You're going to remove the trigger guard, and you're going to run with essentially a almost complete lower AR-15 lower. This is essentially going to bolt on around it, and it's got a trigger bar that spans from up here all the way back that is going to come into contact with your trigger, and that's how it's going to work. So it's a pretty simple design as far as how it works. Again, it's essentially putting your trigger all the way up here, and it's got a trigger bar that's going to reach to the back. So the core of the AR-15 stays the same, which is what's gonna where we're gonna move to next in reliability. As far as reliability goes, in concept, the AR-15 and all the combustion and all the firing of the bullet is going to stay within the body of the AR-15, which you would have with your normal AR-15. So as far as reliability goes, again, this is just a polymer lower that is going to kind of clamp around the AR-15 lower and just move that trigger assembly up with the trigger bar. So in theory, you shouldn't have to worry about reliability. I think it comes down more to the AR-15 of your choice more than it does the actual polymer lower here. As far as the trigger was surprisingly well. I'm sure you and your mom and your brother and everybody on the internet has heard about how crappy Bullpup triggers are. Again, I don't have any experience with a Bullpup, but I can tell you that this trigger feels almost the same as a stock Mil-Spec trigger from your AR-15. So I didn't notice, as far as dry firing goes, I didn't notice any difference. It definitely didn't have that mushy feeling that you hear Bullpups traditionally have. So again, feels like a Mil-Spec AR-15 trigger, and I really like that. Moving on to the buffer system back here. So in the kit, you are provided with a reduced bolt carrier group and bolt, and it's essentially, it's got some cuts in it, and the spring system and the buffer system are what changes. So you'll notice that this is a lot shorter than your traditional AR-15 buffer tube, and that's because it's using a reduced buffer and a different spring setup. Long story short, you attach this, get it all set up, and you can take this end cap here off, and you can adjust the buffer spring and buffer type based on if you want to use a rifle caliber or a pistol caliber, which goes into my next option, or my next point. You can use this with a PCC setup running 9mm, or you can use this with your rifle setup. And I have this chambered in 5.56 traditional AR-15 magazines, and that's how I'm running it today. Now, the reason you've got to run this with an M-LOK upper is because once you get this bolted on to your AR-15 lower, you're going to use 2 mounting points up here on the actual AR-15 itself. So you can't see it, but embedded in this forward section is a mounting bar that attaches to the bottom of the M-LOK section here and goes in like 2 of your traditional body pins with your AR-15. So in total, you've got 4 body pins that are holding this together, which keeps it really nice and tight and just super solid lockup. So my next point goes into shootability and practicality. And ergonomics as well. This is very different than your traditional AR-15. I mean, as you know, on your traditional AR-15, you've got your pistol grip, safety selector, trigger, and then you usually have a magazine release on your right side and your bolt catch on your left side. So what this does is moves all that to the rear, as hence the Bullpup configuration, but you're provided with a ambidextrous mag release, which is really nice. And then you've got your bolt catch here, which functions as normal. So as far as ergonomics go, you've got a really compact package, but you also move your entire workspace all the way back here to the front of your face. And that's actually really nice. When I've gone to lock the bolt back, I can now release my magazine right here. I can grab my new magazine, throw it right in, reach up, let that bolt go home, and get back on the gun. I think ergonomics wise, I absolutely see the benefit in running the Bullpup style setup that we have here. I've been doing a lot of dry firing, and I just really like how that works. It's all right here, it's in your face. You can see really well. I just rotate the gun over, send that bolt hole, and I'm back on the gun. Now, let's get into some things that I don't necessarily like. All the gas is coming out right here. So if you have a gassy gun, or if you're running a suppressor, one thing you're gonna notice is while you're shooting that gun, your bolt right here is gonna be reciprocating back and forth, and all that gas is gonna be coming up. And we're gonna get to that when we start shooting, but that is absolutely, it was a shock to say the least. I think that can be managed with tuning the gas system, tuning your suppressor, et cetera, but having it right there can cause an issue. Now, if you'll remember, I said there's 2 configuration options. You've got the bufferless system and the buffered system. Now, the bufferless system is a lot more comfortable, and let me tell you why. I've got my charging handle right here because I'm running the buffered system, and as soon as I go to get on the gun, the first thing I feel is that charging handle right here. And you'll notice, and it's taking a little bit of dry firing and practice to get going to, but I'll have to stick my chin and my cheek forward of that charging handle, which requires me to get up all the way on my optic. and it's not as comfortable as it could be. So if I had to tell you to get one, it would absolutely be the bufferless system, because that is absolutely a pain in the ass. Is it workable? Yes. Can you still run with it? Yes. It's just going to take some dry firing and trigger time to get used to. So again, it's workable, but not the most comfortable. My last thoughts is having the Picatinny right here. A lot of comments I saw were individuals commenting on the Picatinny up here and putting your cheek to. Personally, I don't know if it's just the AR-15 that I chose. The Picatinny right here is not that rough on the cheek. I actually don't mind it. It's not noticeable, but you can take some rubber inserts and cover those that Picatinny rail section here and give you a little bit more comfort, but I didn't see that necessary, and so I'm just running it like it is. Again, it's not too bad, but just want to point that out to you guys. Overall, as far as initial impressions go before we get into shooting, this is by far the most interesting AR-15 I've had. It's the first experience with a bullpup weapon I've had, and immediately upon using and dry firing, I can see a lot of benefit into running a bullpup weapon. I've got a full 16-inch barrel here that I can almost extend my hand pass as far as the barrel length goes. So you could go as far as to run in a 20-inch upper here, and it would be still a lot more compact than even your traditional AR-15. I just really like this setup. Again, it takes a little bit of getting used to, which is what dry firing's for, but once you get on it, you'll start to see there's a lot of benefit to having a bullpup configuration. I'll say if you're a guy that's got several AR-15s and you want to switch it up, try something new, hey, get one of these. You're absolutely going to be like, what the hell? Everybody's going to be like, what the hell? And you're going to have a good time. But let's get into the shooting and practicality of it and compare it to your traditional AR-15. We're going to be running some CQC drills and just kind of getting on the gun, showing the pros and cons versus your traditional AR-15. And we'll revisit at the end and give my thoughts overall. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so before we get starting with the drills, I just want to give y'all a little sample of what it's like shooting it. And so here we go. Standard AR-15 magazines, I got it loaded up with 30. Your manual of arms here is just inserting. I've already got the bolt lock back, send it home, and it's ready to go. So let's get on it and just show you some shooting, how it is in general. So again, I've got my modified buffer tube here, and I'm gonna get up on the gun, and here we go. All right, so just like I mentioned, you've got that gas coming up right here, and it's very noticeable. Also, I need to put my eye pro on. I'll do that right now. But it is getting right in my right eye. So again, that is of note, but shoots really smooth. I really like it. I feel like I've got a good purchase on the gun, and being able to drive it in my shoulder. All the weight is to the rear, which is feels really nice. And again, just feels really good. And that's a nice little sample. So let's get into some drills. All right, so for the drills we're gonna do today, we're gonna do the build drill, the Mozambique drill, a 1 reload 1 drill, 1, 2, 3, 4 alternating shots drill, a 5 reload 5 drill, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1 drill. We're gonna get a nice little sample here, just some different types of drills to show the benefit of this versus your traditional AR-15 or any downsides that might come up. I'm gonna run through all the drills with the SCY first, and then we'll transition over to the traditional AR-15, and I'll show you side by side how they perform. Everything today is going to be run on a shot timer, so I'll be sure to make sure that you guys know what those times are so that we can be objective and not biased or anything like that. But first things first, we're going to do the build drill, so let's get into it. All right, here we go. Build drill off the buzzer. One, 5, 4. All right, good. Next, we're going to do the Mozambique drill. If you're not familiar, that's 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. One, 5, 6. Next, I'm going to drop the magazine up there. I do have 1 in the chamber. We're going to do a 1 shot, reload, and then 1 shot. And again, off the buzzer. 4-2-4. All right, so the next drill we're doing is 1-2-3-4. I'm gonna start at the center and move outwards. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. And again, off the buzzer. .604. All right, so the next we're going to do is 1-2-3-4, 3-2-1. We're going to go from left to right, increasing by 1 round, and then go back down from right to left, decreasing by 1 round. And again, off the buzzer. Oh. Try that again. All right, 9-2-0. All right, so for the last drill, we're gonna send 5 rounds, do a reload, and send 5 rounds, and that'll be it. And then we'll move over to our traditional AR-15. And again, off the shot timer. I screwed that up with the magazines I was supposed to lock back. I didn't, but that's an 8.37. All right, so now we're moving on to the traditional AR-15. I'm gonna run through the same drills, starting with a build drill, but we're gonna compare it and see how it feels overall and see what our times are compared to the SCY. All right, first build drill. Got a 138. All right, next will be the Mozambique drill. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. .114. All right, next we're gonna do 1 shot, reload, 1 shot. I'm gonna do it like I did with the SCY. The bolt is not gonna lock back, and we're gonna send it. And again, off the shot timer. .512. I butched that. I'm not sure why a round didn't go, but here we are. All right, so next we're gonna go 1-2-3-4, increasing by 1 shot as we go from left to right. Again, off the shot timer. All right, now we're gonna go from left to right, increasing by 1 round, 1-2-3-4, and then back down to from right to left, decreasing 4-3-2-1. And again, off the shot timer. .7, 8, 9. All right, and lastly, we're gonna send 5 rounds, do a reload, send 5 rounds, and that'll conclude it. Again, off the shot timer. .445. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the SCY and put it against the traditional AR-15. We're gonna do a little barricade work, nothing crazy. We're just gonna shoot from about 4 different positions, probably 2 rounds each, and just give an idea of what it's like to shoot on the barricade with a Bullpup AR-15 versus the traditional. One thing I wanna note is that it's got a pretty smooth curve right here, so I'm interested to see how that goes up against the barricade and see if something like a foregrip or a little barricade stop might do some good here. But we're gonna start with the SCY and then we'll move over to the traditional one. Not shooting off the timer or anything. I'm just gonna transition between shooting positions and give 2 shots each on steel. And I'm at about 50 yards, and so I'm shooting at a 12-inch steel target. And again, not off the timer or anything, but we're just gonna send it. So here we go. Okay, not bad. I expected that to be a little bit more difficult given the smooth edge right here, but it actually didn't have any problem. I used my fingers as I would with a traditional AR-15 to brace up against it and didn't have any issues. Shoots real smooth. I didn't have any issues with the stock going all over the place, and shot just fine. I really like it. Let's go into the traditional AR-15. All right, next I'm going to do the traditional AR-15. Traditional setup, same thing. Transition from the different shooting positions, 2 rounds each at 50 yards, 12-inch steel targets. Not off the tub or anything, just going to shoot. Here it goes. About the same results there, no issues as you'd expect. I did get caught up on the sling mount right here, but that's more me than the rifle. It's just fine using my fingers to brace against. No issues there. They're about the same. I like each. Shooting it, there's not really a pro or con to each. The compact setup of the Bullpup doesn't really provide any value here. And I mean, granted, I'm in an open space, so maybe a more confined space it would. But I didn't have any issues with this or have any benefit with that I wouldn't have with this. So they're about the same, and overall they're easy to shoot. All right, and lastly, we're gonna shoot prone and see how this compares to the traditional AR-15. I imagine most of y'all, if you've ever shot a gun, you probably have an AR-15, and you've probably shot it from the prone. So we're gonna compare how the compact package compares to the traditional and give some thoughts on that as well. But I'm just going to take a couple shots, nothing crazy, see how the gas is, how the recoil is, how comfortable it is, and yeah, we'll give some thoughts on it. Okay. Not bad. I kind of did like a traditional would with a traditional AR-15. Using the magwell, except this is not the magwell, of course, but kind of the same style. And honestly, not really any issues. It is a little slick back here because this is metal. This is a little bit slick on my shoulder, but I was still able to get those shots on target. So, I mean, no major concerns there. Maybe some grip tape might help. Next, we're going to do the AR-15, same thing. I'm gonna hold it like I traditionally would, and that's at the magwell, and we'll send some rounds, and let's see how it is. Send a couple more. Okay, I mean, it's as you'd expect. We've all done this. I mean, no thrills, no, you know, it is what it is. I don't see any benefit of this versus that or that versus this. I don't see any drawbacks. I mean, it's about the same. I do like that the SCY brings all the weight to the rear versus this, there's a lot more weight out front. I can get a little bit more stable and hold this position a little bit longer with the Bullpup. But again, I mean, I'm supported pretty well, so no issues there. It's about the same shooting experience. All right, so we're gonna wrap up the video, and I wanna give some closing thoughts on just my experience with this SCY Bullpup and just my thoughts against a traditional AR-15. So there's a lot of things that I like about this. I can't emphasize enough how compact this 16-inch rifle is. It makes a difference. The weight being at the rear, I can hold this gun up all day, and it's not gonna bother me at all. Whereas, you know, your traditional AR-15s, you got all that weight out front. After a while, you're looking down your sights, you've got it up, your back's gonna start hurting, and that's not the case with this. I've got a lot of time dry firing, shooting it. I put about 300 rounds to it today alone, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Again, super compact. That makes a difference with, you know, ballistics and bullet velocity and stretching out the distance, which we did not do today, but I'm sure there'll be some follow-on videos with this. But being able to put a longer barrel in a compact package like this, it makes a difference. And you don't have to get your 10.3 Mark 18s and all that. sacrificing bullet velocity for the sake of a compact package. I've got the same benefits as an AR-15 here, as far as 16 inches go. I've got the bullet velocity, I've got the ability to mount stuff, I've got a red dot, I can put lights, lasers, a foregrip up here if wanted. I like that the workspace is right here in your face as you're maybe loading up a mag, doing reloads, etc., etc. You've got all that right here to work with, and it's just really nice, and I really enjoy that. And with the weight back here, I don't have to worry about fumbling it or anything like that. I'm doing my reload, sending the bolt home, and I'm back on the gun. And time is of the essence when it comes to shooting. So there are some things that I don't necessarily like, and I think there's some of it that is me as a personal shooter, and then some that is the Bullpup conversion itself. First off, I find it extremely difficult to get low enough on the gun, even from back here, with a traditional optic sight, which I think is like 1.5 inches above the bore. I need something a lot higher, especially when I've got my helmet on, my ear pro on. I've got all that right here that's preventing me from getting down on the gun far enough. So I would suggest getting something like a Unity riser or anything that's going to bring your optic up so you can get more in line with your head, because I hate having to dip my head down into the gun versus more heads up shooting, which I like, especially with AKs and shooting night vision and all that. So I would suggest, yeah, bringing your optic up, but that's more me than anything, because you can make it work. But again, I personally don't like that, and I'd like it to be able to sit a little bit higher. The next thing is the stock here. It is serrated, so you do have some material that's going to aid in grabbing your shirt, but I would like it maybe a rubberized material that would just make it not so slick, because especially when you get sweaty like I am right now, it's very hot, and I have some issues staying on the gun. And yesterday even, I had this slip, and I had my red dot hit me in the eye because I went to go prone, and it slipped out and popped me right in the eye. So there is that. But overall, I think this is a great package. I think that this is a very interesting way to set up your AR-15. Would I recommend this for your duty gun, for your go-to gun? Probably not. And I say that only because, one, you may not like bullpups, but two, you've got a lot of screws here and a lot of hardware that requires getting rid of when you want to get into the guts of this bullpup conversion, and that requires carrying around specific tools and specialized tools and etc. if you want to break this down. Versus your traditional AR-15, you can pop it open, you use a punch or two, and you're working with gold. So I'd say that probably not the case. Now, I will say, if you're a guy like me and you've got several AR-15s and you want to switch it up and you want to run something that's a little bit more unique, then this is absolutely the way to go. When I posted this on the internet, I posted some pictures. I had people literally claiming blasphemy, and that I was degrading Eugene Stoner's name, the creator of the AR-15. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, AR-15s get boring. Everybody's got the same one. It's nice to switch it up a little bit. For $500, I've now got a Bullpup converted AR-15. You cannot beat that. I do want to say that traditionally Bullpups go for around the $2,000 price range, and the fact that you can take let's say a PSA AR-15, which this is, spend $500 on that, and then $500 on the conversion kit, and for $1,000 you've got a Bullpup gun. I think that's fantastic. You put in some training and some good dry firing time, you're going to be wielding this just as good as you would your AR-15, and I really like that. At the end of the day, I can highly recommend this, as I love shooting it. It's really fun. It's unique. It's a conversation starter, to say the least. And it has a lot of pros that I would say, compared to the AR-15, do it a lot of good. Mostly the compactness of this package, and with the weight being in the rear and being able to put your workspace right here in your face, I really like that. I think that's a lot of benefit, and I think that that's something done better than the AR-15. So yeah, I can recommend this. Reap Weaponries, SCY, get you one, $500, come on. At the end of the day, as far as reliability goes, it's gonna come down to what AR-15 you're putting in this. So pick and choose. Again, I do wanna note that it does require an M-LOK handguard for compatibility, which I do wish it used a Picatinny, but maybe I'll talk to them and see what they can do. But yeah, get you one. I really like it. Again, it's unique, fun, and fun to shoot. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. Safety over everything. But get out, whatever it is that you're using, whether it's a bullpup gun, your AR-15s, AK-47s, it does not matter. Get out, train, be better, get some trigger time, put those rounds down range, devote your time to dry firing, and be better with the God-given rights that you have with the Second Amendment. Guys, thanks for the support. I really appreciate y'all watching my videos. I love making content for you guys. I do this for you just as much as I do it for me. I love being able to provide feedback and provide real world experience on some options that y'all may have questions about. And that's what I'm here for. I love doing this for y'all. Let's all be better, get out and train, and just continue having a good time. Lastly, thank you, Weaponries, for sending this out to me. I love it. This has been very fun, a different experience, and has made going to the range with an AR-15 a little bit more fun again. Still not better than AK, but that's just me personally. Guys, get you one, get out, have fun, be safe, and train.